Archangel Michael is calling your name so loudly right now. Even Elon Musk spoke about people like you rising in this season. Open your spirit before the window closes, my beloved. Before you even pressed play, something was already stirring in the quiet space behind your thoughts, a subtle pull you could almost feel but couldn't quite name. That sensation, that quickening, is not random. It is the cry through the veil, the unmistakable echo of your name being called with urgency and tenderness. You are not imagining it. You are not reaching for air. Something is reaching for you, and it has been waiting for the moment you would finally slow down enough to hear. In the tension between confusion and clarity, you have been living in a fog that never belonged to you. You felt distracted, pulled in different directions, unsure of why your spirit seemed restless even on calm days. That restlessness was the signal beneath the noise, the gentle alarm that something greater was trying to break through. Archangel Michael steps near you in these moments, not to frighten you, but to anchor you. His presence sharpens what has been blurry, steadies what has been shaking, and reminds you that divine protection arrives long before you recognize the danger. You, dear one, have walked through seasons where it felt like clarity was a luxury you could not afford. Every step felt second-guessed, every decision wrapped in uncertainty, every prayer answered with silence that made you question your worth. But that silence was not abandonment. It was the sacred pause before alignment. Michael calls your name to draw you out of the fog you've adapted to, because the fog is not your home. You were not made to live muted, dimmed, or half-present. You were made to sense, to perceive, to discern the whisper behind the world. When you slow your breath, even for a single intentional minute, the veil thins. The heaviness loosens its grip. You begin to hear the pull that has been waiting for this exact moment. There is a reason this message found you now. Not earlier, when you would have ignored it, and not later, when you might have been too numb to receive it. Right now, your spirit is tender, open, stretched enough to sense the difference between noise and signal. You are standing in the thin place between what has confused you and what is about to become clear. And clarity, beloved, is not just information. Clarity is arrival. Clarity is alignment. Clarity is the moment your inner world stops spinning and begins to recognize its true center again. Michael's call is meant to interrupt the spiral, to steady your breath, and to bring you back into yourself. When you inhale slowly and intentionally, you reclaim space that chaos tried to occupy. When you exhale, you release the tension that kept you from recognizing divine presence. And in this simple pause, this one sacred minute of breathing, you create room for the voice that has been calling your name across the unseen. You may not hear words, but you will feel the shift, the movement from confusion into clarity like a curtain slowly opening. You are being invited into awareness, not pressured, not pushed, but gently welcomed into the space where protection meets purpose. Let this moment be your threshold. Let it be the doorway where you return to yourself, where you remember that you are not wandering alone. Archangel Michael's nearness is not an accident, it is a reassurance that you are watched over, guided, and strengthened. As you breathe and listen, the next piece of your unfolding journey begins to rise, ready to lead you deeper into the story that has been waiting for you to emerge now. There is a reason, dear one, that your heart feels heavier than your hands can explain. Even before you name it, you know the weight I'm speaking of, the exhaustion that settles in your bones, the quiet longing that wakes you at night, the sense that you've been walking with a burden no one else can see. You have carried responsibilities, expectations, and quiet disappointments for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to move lightly. Yet beneath that heaviness, something truer has been forming, something sacred and resilient that refuses to break. You've wondered why progress felt slow, why prayers seemed delayed, why others were seen while you were overlooked. You've tried to convince yourself that maybe you were simply asking for too much. But beloved, nothing about your desire to be guided, supported, or understood is excessive. The exhaustion you feel is not a sign of weakness, it is the symptom of someone who has been faithfully pushing forward in silence. It is the mark of someone who has been carrying more than their share, often without acknowledgement, often without rest, often without a witness. In the contrast between isolation and presence, it may have seemed like God stepped back from you. But what looked like absence was actually preparation. When you felt at your most alone, the deeper layers of your identity were rising beneath the surface, forming strength and discernment that only solitude can reveal. You were not abandoned, you were being refined. You were not rejected, you were being invited inward, into a space where no opinions, no comparisons, no external noise could interfere with the becoming that was unfolding within you. There is a reason your spirit resisted giving up, even on the days when your mind quietly considered it. Something inside you knew that the weight you carry is connected to the calling you hold. The very areas where you feel stretched are often the territories where you are growing. And though the heaviness has been real, so has the transformation. What you don't see, yet feel without words, is that your hidden identity has been rising through every delay, every unanswered moment, every room where you felt invisible. You have been learning how to stand in your own presence, even when others could not offer theirs. You have been learning how to trust your voice, even when silence surrounded you. You have been learning how to recognize your worth, even when the world seemed too distracted to notice. Right now, take a moment and write down one challenge that feels too heavy to keep carrying alone. You don't need to solve it today. You don't need to judge why it burdens you. Simply name it. Naming a weight is the first step toward releasing it, and release begins with recognition, not pressure. This small act draws your hidden identity closer to the surface, where strength and clarity can meet it. As you acknowledge this weight, feel the subtle shift inside you, the quiet reminder that you are not meant to navigate this season unsupported. The presence that once felt distant is drawing near again, ready to walk with you, ready to lift with you, ready to show you that what felt like isolation was only the beginning of a deeper awareness. And as this awareness grows, it will lead you into the next understanding, that the struggles surrounding you are not signs of spiritual disfavor but signals of an unseen conflict stirring around your destiny. You have felt it, beloved, even if you could never fully explain it, the strange tension in the air around your life, the sense that something keeps brushing against your peace just when you start to settle. There are moments when opportunities seem to open and then inexplicably close, when conversations take odd turns, when your confidence rises and then drops without reason. These are not random disruptions. They are patterns, subtle but persistent, forming an unseen struggle that tries to distort your path before you even take the next step. And yet, within this struggle, a deeper protection has been quietly forming around you. You have encountered what many describe as betrayal patterns, Not always through people acting with harmful intent, but through dynamics that leave you feeling exposed or unsupported. These patterns show up as sudden shifts in loyalty, unexpected disappointment, or the painful realization that someone you trusted cannot hold what matters to you. But the betrayal is not the headline. The headline is the protection moving beneath it. What looks like rejection is often redirection. What feels like a wound may actually be a shield. The divine realm has been filtering your connections, closing doors that would have drained you, and revealing truths that your heart needed time to accept. Delayed blessings are another form of this hidden struggle. You have prayed, planned, prepared, and yet certain breakthroughs seem to move just beyond your reach, teasing you with nearness and then slipping away. It is easy to interpret this delay as failure, or to believe something about you is insufficient. But delay is not denial. Delay is often divine pacing. When a blessing comes too soon, it can collapse under undeveloped capacity. When it comes at the right moment, it rests securely in hands that have learned discernment. The setbacks you've experienced, the cyclical loss of momentum, the strange pauses, the moments where progress freezes without explanation, are not punishments. They are protective recalibrations designed to guide you toward alignment rather than exhaustion. The unseen struggle tries to push you into chasing what is not ready, while divine protection teaches you how to carry what will last. There is also the emotional interference, the inexplicable heaviness that rises without warning, the sudden doubt that doesn't sound like your own voice, the moments when your courage feels borrowed rather than born from within. These sensations are not failures of faith. They are the tremors that appear when you step into territory the unseen realm takes seriously. You are not weak for feeling them. You are perceptive. You are sensitive to atmosphere, energy, and intention, even when you cannot explain why. This sensitivity is not a burden. It is a gift that allows you to sense danger before it forms and recognize truth before it speaks. Protection often begins with discomfort, because discomfort pushes you toward boundaries you didn't know you needed. This is why your spirit has been urging you to rest, to pause, to step back from certain voices or spaces. Something in you is learning how to stand at the threshold of your own well-being and choose it without apology. To support this shift, take a moment to identify one boundary that needs gentle reinforcement this week, whether it involves your time, your energy, or your emotional space. Naming it brings clarity, honoring it brings protection. You are stepping out of cycles that once drained you and into alignment that strengthens you. And as this awareness deepens, you'll begin to recognize how every struggle has been preparing you for the signs and confirmations already on their way. Beloved, there are moments when heaven leans so close that the ordinary world around you begins to shimmer with meaning, and you've been standing in that very atmosphere without even realizing it. Long before you asked for a sign, long before you wondered whether your prayers had slipped into silence, the first confirmations were already forming around you. What felt like delay was not neglect. It was the quiet build before release, the gathering of threads that would soon reveal a pattern meant specifically for you. You may have noticed flashes in your dreams, names appearing without context, conversations that felt more like messages than imagination, scenes that left an imprint on your heart when you woke. These dreams are not random. They arrive when your spirit is reaching for clarity faster than your mind can process it. Even when the symbolism seems strange, there is a reassurance woven into them, a reminder that the unseen realm is communicating in ways familiar to your soul even if unfamiliar to your logic. Some of your confirmations show up through numbers, those repeating sequences that follow you from clocks to receipts to quiet moments when you glance at your phone without intention. These patterns are not commands or threats. They are markers, gentle taps on the shoulder from the divine reminding you that timing is shifting. What once seemed delayed is now moving toward release. Your life is entering a season where spiritual acceleration meets practical clarity, and the numbers simply echo that a new rhythm is forming around you. And then there are the names, the ones that appear in unexpected conversations, in memories you haven't visited in years, in songs or messages that drift into your day. Certain names rise because they carry meaning for your growth or healing, nudging your attention toward relationships, lessons, or chapters that are evolving. These signals do not demand fear or dramatic action. They simply invite awareness. Pay attention to what stirs you, because what stirs you often reveals what's aligning for you. Over the next 24 hours, observe your world with a softer gaze. Not with pressure, not with anxiety, but with curiosity. Notice any moment of unexpected peace that settles over you like a blanket. Notice any alignment, a message that resonates, a conversation that brings clarity, a decision that suddenly feels easier. These are not tests. They are gentle confirmations that your spirit is stepping into release after a long season of waiting. What once felt stuck is loosening. What once felt dim is brightening. What once felt distant is drawing near. If anything stands out, an odd coincidence, a repeated symbol, a sentence that feels aimed at your heart, write it down. Not to analyze it endlessly, but to honor that something is speaking to you through your lived moments. Logging these glimpses helps you recognize patterns you might otherwise dismiss. It becomes a way of partnering with your own awakening, a simple act that makes room for clarity to become more than a fleeting feeling. You are not chasing signs, you are learning how to receive them. And as you do, you'll sense how the slow-moving energy of delay is giving way to the steady momentum of release. Your confirmations are not coming, they are already here, arriving softly, aligning quietly, gathering strength. Let this awareness prepare you, because the moment you begin to recognize these signals, you become ready for the deeper understanding awaiting you in the next unfolding step of your journey. There comes a moment in every journey, beloved, when the atmosphere around your life begins to shift, when the familiar ways of coping no longer feel sufficient, and the deeper call within you starts to rise. That moment is now. You may not have recognized it fully, but your spirit has been signaling the need for protection, clarity, and truth in a way that cannot be postponed. And it is precisely in these thresholds, when fear tries to tighten its grip and uncertainty presses against your peace, that Archangel Michael steps forward. Michael does not appear in seasons of chaos to amplify your fear, he appears to dissolve it. His presence has always been bound to truth, not intimidation, and his authority is rooted in unwavering protection rather than pressure. When he draws near, it is because something in your life is ready to align with clarity, ready to shed the influence of confusion that has lingered too long. Fear wants to convince you that you are alone, unguarded, or unprepared. Faith, however, whispers that you are being equipped, strengthened, and supported by forces greater than the struggle before you. The contrast between these two, fear versus faith, reveals why Michael's presence matters. He comes to tip the balance toward faith. You may have noticed subtle shifts already, moments where clarity cuts through fog, where an inner knowing rises without explanation, where your intuition feels sharper than before. These are not coincidences. They are signals that Michael's protective field is surrounding you in ways you may not have consciously invited but deeply needed. His support is never forced upon you. Divine presence respects your agency. Instead, he offers partnership, guidance that becomes most powerful when you choose to lean into it. When you sense courage where you expected anxiety, when you feel calm in situations that once overwhelmed you, that is the evidence of angelic support working alongside your willingness, not replacing it. Michael steps forward now because you are entering a season where truth matters more than ever. Not dramatic truth about enemies or threats, but the truth about your worth, your path, and your purpose. Confusion has clouded your steps long enough. Internal noise has made it difficult to trust your own voice. Emotional residue from past disappointments has created hesitation where confidence should live. This moment of your life requires clarity that cannot be borrowed from others. It must be anchored within you. Michael's role is to help restore the strength of that anchor, to help you stand firmly in who you are rather than who circumstances once suggested you were. Fear often tries to disguise itself as caution or self-protection, but faith reveals the deeper reality. You are supported, guided, and not meant to navigate this chapter alone. You are being prepared for decisions, connections, and opportunities that require a clear heart and a steady inner compass. That is why Michael steps forward, to ensure that your clarity is not stolen by old patterns, that your confidence is not diluted by outdated doubts, and that your next steps are not shaped by fear's voice but by faith's conviction. To align with this protective presence, speak a simple affirmation once a day: I welcome clarity, courage, and protection as I walk forward in truth. This is not a spell or a command. It is a choice to meet divine support halfway, to open the door through which guidance can flow. When you speak it, even softly, your spirit acknowledges what your mind may still be learning, that you are not navigating blind, and you are not traveling unguarded. As you continue on this path, you will sense how Michael's presence strengthens your awareness, sharpens your discernment, and prepares you for the reversal and restoration awaiting you in the next stage of your unfolding journey. Beloved, there comes a moment when the thread of your life begins to pull in a new direction, not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you has awakened. You are stepping into that moment now. The path of reversal and restoration is not a dramatic overnight transformation. It is a gentle but decisive turning, a return to the clarity that confusion once smothered. You have spent so long navigating uncertainty that you may not realize how ready you are to rise into alignment. This is the chapter where what once pulled you off course begins to release its grip, and what once felt distant begins to draw toward you with quiet certainty. You have chased many things: peace, answers, validation, stability, believing they were ahead of you, just out of reach. Life taught you to run after clarity as though it were a rare treasure you had to earn. But the deeper truth is emerging: you were never meant to chase. You were meant to carry. You were meant to embody what you once sought outside yourself. The shift from chasing to carrying is the essence of restoration. It is the moment when your worth stops depending on outcomes and begins to anchor in identity. When you carry confidence instead of pursuing it, opportunities recognize you differently. When you carry peace instead of chasing it, chaos loses its influence. When you carry purpose, the distractions that once consumed your energy start to fall away. The path begins with noticing the subtle reversals already forming in your life. Where confusion once fogged your judgment, small pockets of clarity now break through. Where exhaustion once felt overwhelming, glimpses of renewed energy appear in unexpected moments. Where relationships or environments once drained you, you may find yourself quietly stepping back, sensing the need to reclaim your power. These shifts are not accidental. They are signs that your internal compass is realigning, that your spirit is choosing what nurtures you rather than what depletes you. Restoration begins the moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself. As you move along this path, you will find that your steps become more intentional. There is a steadiness rising in you, a sense of direction that does not need to shout in order to be trusted. You are moving from reaction to response, from scrambling to choosing, from fear to faith. Each choice you make with clarity becomes a small act of reversal, rewriting the narrative that once held you hostage to doubt. Each moment you breathe deeply, pause, and listen to your inner guidance becomes an act of restoration, retrieving the parts of yourself you thought were lost. To support this transition, embrace a simple 7-day energy hygiene practice. Each morning, take 5 quiet minutes to write down 3 intentions for your day and 1 boundary you are committed to honoring. These intentions do not need to be grand, they simply need to be yours. They can be as simple as choosing calm over urgency, honesty over self-silencing, rest over overextension. The boundary might be protecting your time, limiting emotional access, or saying no where your spirit whispers no. This practice is not about control, it is about alignment. It trains your heart to carry what matters rather than chase what distracts. As the days unfold, you will notice the reversal strengthening. Your choices will feel cleaner. Your energy will feel more contained. Your steps will feel guided rather than pressured. And in this shift, restoration will rise naturally, not as something forced, but as something long overdue. You are not returning to who you were, you are returning to who you were always meant to be. And as you embrace this emerging strength, you will be ready for the next movement of your journey, the moment where words, declarations, and intention join together to open the way forward in a deeper, more powerful way. Beloved, there comes a moment in every awakening when the heart must speak what the spirit already knows. You have walked through confusion, through heaviness, through quiet battles no one else has seen. And now you stand at the threshold of your own rising. This is the moment of activation, the moment when your words begin to shape your inner atmosphere, when declarations become bridges from where you have been into where you are called to go. Your voice carries power, not because it forces outcomes, but because it aligns you with truth. And when your inner truth aligns with divine presence, the way forward begins to open. For so long, scarcity has been the undercurrent in your life, not always financial scarcity, but emotional scarcity, spiritual scarcity, relational scarcity. Scarcity whispers that you must cling, prove, push, or fight for what should naturally flow toward you. It convinces you that everything good is limited, that blessings are fragile, that peace is temporary. But this season is different. You are stepping out of the cramped space where your soul had to ration hope, and you are stepping into overflow, a state where you no longer beg for clarity but expect it, where you no longer chase protection but carry it, where courage rises not as a reaction but as your default posture. The shift from scarcity to overflow begins with the words you allow to live inside of you. This is why declarations matter. They are not magic. They are alignment. They are the daily reminders that pull you back into your center when life tries to scatter you. When you speak truth, your spirit straightens. Your vision steadies. Your heart remembers its strength. And heaven meets your willingness with guidance. So breathe deeply, dear one, and let these declarations settle gently over your heart. I step into the day covered in clarity, grounded in courage, and surrounded by protection. I release the fear that drains me and welcome the peace that restores me. I move in alignment, not anxiety. I choose the path that strengthens my spirit. I trust that what is for me will not be withheld, delayed, or diminished. I walk with the confidence of someone guided, supported, and deeply loved. Let these words be a soft invitation, not a command. Speak the one that resonates most with you each morning. Whisper it while you stretch your body awake. Speak it while you pour your coffee. Let it anchor your attention before the world pulls your focus in every direction. A single sentence spoken with intention can shift your entire atmosphere. It can remind your heart that you are not entering the day vulnerable or unprepared, but covered, yes, covered, by presence and purpose. And at night, just before rest takes you, write one simple line of gratitude. It doesn't need to be poetic. It doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be true. Gratitude softens your inner landscape. It teaches your spirit to recognize overflow even in small, steady ways. It balances the weight of the day with the lightness of acknowledgement. When you practice gratitude, even briefly, you signal to your inner world that goodness is not scarce, it is present, unfolding, accumulating. As these rhythms take root, one morning declaration, one evening line of gratitude, you will feel your internal posture shift. Protection will feel less like something you hope for and more like something you inhabit. Clarity will come more easily. Courage will rise without strain. Your words will begin to mirror the truth of who you are becoming, and the atmosphere around your life will respond. And as your voice strengthens and your spirit steadies, you will be ready to notice the rhythms of change, the timelines and checkpoints that accompany seasons of breakthrough, waiting to reveal themselves in the next unfolding step of your journey. Beloved, there are moments when time itself feels different, as if the days around you begin to stretch and shimmer with possibility, even before anything changes on the surface. This is the nature of breakthrough. It begins in the unseen long before it appears in the seen. Your spirit senses acceleration before your life reflects it, and that inner stirring is not confusion, it is preparation. When heaven aligns something on your behalf, the first signs are often subtle shifts in awareness, small nudges of clarity, gentle movements in your emotions that tell you momentum is forming beneath the surface of your days. Your breakthrough follows a sacred rhythm, and you are entering the first window now. Within the next 24h, you may notice a moment of unexpected awareness, a realization, a release of tension, or a flash of understanding that feels almost out of place. This is not coincidence. It is the first ripple from the unseen touching the surface of your lived experience. It can be as gentle as breathing easier or sensing a truth you had overlooked. To anchor this moment, jot down one insight or observation you noticed today, allowing your spirit to acknowledge the shift beginning within you. Over the next 3 days, emotional clarity begins to rise. Feelings you pushed aside may come forward, not to overwhelm you but to free you. What once felt tangled may suddenly make sense. Conversations may carry deeper meaning, and intuitions may feel louder. This is the stage where the unseen begins to organize your inner world so your outer world can eventually reflect it. To support this, write a brief journal note each evening naming one emotion that appeared and what it revealed. You are not being tested, you are being aligned. Clarity blooms in the heart before it blooms in life. By the 7th day, direction begins to take shape. Ideas that once felt scattered may converge into a single thread. You may sense nudges toward decisions you've avoided or notice pathways that suddenly seem more open than before. The unseen realm has been guiding you patiently, aligning opportunities and insights so your steps can follow with confidence. To embrace this stage, journal one directional theme you noticed during the week, an idea, a desire, a repeating thought that feels alive. These cues are whispers of alignment. They are the unseen preparing to become seen, the future preparing to become present. By the 14th day, visible shifts often begin to emerge. They may be small at first, a conversation that opens a door, a decision that feels lighter, a situation that changes course in your favor. These moments are not random, they are the echoes of the unseen manifesting in the seen. Alignment always begins internally, but it never stays hidden. To witness these shifts more clearly, end your day with a simple reflection: what changed today, even slightly? Your awareness sharpens your perception, and perception sharpens your ability to partner with what is unfolding. Breakthrough becomes visible when gratitude opens your eyes. Beloved, these timelines are not pressure, they are pathways. They remind you that what is forming around you is intentional, that the unseen is already shaping what will soon appear in your life. Journal through each checkpoint not to predict outcomes but to witness your own unfolding. As you track these subtle movements, your faith grows steadier and your awareness more refined. And as your perception shifts, so does your ability to recognize the divine rhythm guiding you. You are stepping into a season where breakthrough is not a distant hope but an approaching reality for you. Beloved, as you stand in this new space of awakening, doubts may still press against the edges of your confidence. This is natural. Every time clarity begins to rise, confusion makes one last attempt to hold its place. You may find yourself questioning whether you're hearing correctly, whether you're strong enough, whether you're truly ready to move forward. But hear this gently: doubt is not a sign that you are failing, it is a sign that you are transitioning. When you enter a new level of awareness, the remnants of old patterns often echo one more time before they fade. This is why discernment matters now more than ever. You are not meant to move with fear. You are meant to move with wisdom. Discernment is the bridge between confusion and clarity. It is the quiet inner voice that says, "Pause," when pressure tries to push you, and "proceed," when peace settles in your chest. You have felt that voice before, small but unmistakable, subtle yet steady. It is the voice that has pulled you away from situations that drained you and nudged you toward choices that strengthened you. What you may not realize is that this voice has grown stronger through every season you've endured. Your experiences have refined your inner guidance. What once felt like guesswork is now intuition shaped by truth. Trusting it is not reckless. It is responsible. Still, moving forward with strength requires gentleness with yourself. You may worry about making the wrong decision, disappointing others, or stepping into unknown territory without a clear map. But remember, clarity rarely arrives as a full blueprint. More often, it comes as a next step, a small knowing, a quiet direction that leads you toward the bigger picture piece by piece. Faith does not demand that you see the entire path. Faith asks only that you honor the clarity you have in this moment. When you choose one aligned step, the next one reveals itself naturally. You may also notice old fears trying to reattach themselves as you step forward. Fear tells you to shrink so you don't risk loss. Fear tells you to postpone decisions until the perfect moment appears. Fear tells you that your voice is too much or too little, that your needs are inconvenient, that your boundaries might push people away. But clarity offers a different message. Clarity reminds you that your needs are valid, your voice has weight, and your boundaries are not barriers, they are sacred doors that protect what matters. You are not moving forward recklessly. You are moving forward with discernment, guided by the wisdom of everything you've survived. This is a powerful moment to practice one simple but life-shifting tool, a boundary script you can use anytime you feel pressured to say yes when your spirit is saying no. Let it be gentle, firm, and true. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not able to do that right now. This sentence carries respect without self-abandonment. You do not owe elaborate explanations, apologies, or justifications. A boundary spoken calmly is an act of clarity, not conflict. And each time you honor your truth, you strengthen the inner compass that will guide your next steps. As you move forward, trust that discernment will become easier. Decisions that once overwhelmed you will feel lighter. Situations that once confused you will become clearer. People who once clouded your judgment will become easier to read. You are growing into someone who can sense misalignment quickly and choose integrity anyway. Confusion may knock at the door, but it no longer gets to live inside your mind. You are grounded now, anchored in truth, and protected as you walk. And as this strength settles deeper into you, it prepares you for the final movement of this journey, the moment where everything you've gathered, learned, and reclaimed converges into a gentle but powerful closing revelation, inviting you to step fully into the restoration that has been unfolding all along. Beloved, take a breath and notice how different the atmosphere within you feels compared to when you first arrived here. You have walked through confusion, heaviness, unspoken fears, and hidden longing, and now something inside you feels steadier, clearer, more awake. This is the closing revelation, the moment when everything you have carried begins to make sense, not because the external world has suddenly changed, but because the inner world has softened, aligned, and opened. You are standing in a place your spirit has been preparing for long before your mind caught up, a place where what once felt delayed begins to shift into release. You may not see every detail yet, dear one, but you can feel the movement. The tension that once wrapped around your spirit has loosened. The doubts that once tangled your thoughts have quieted. The parts of you that feared being unprotected are beginning to trust that you are more surrounded, guided, and strengthened than you knew. The path before you is not accidental. It is the natural result of all the small yes you gave to healing, to clarity, to courage, even when you felt unsure. Delay was never a denial, it was preparation. Release is never forced, it is received. And you are arriving at the season where what once felt withheld now unfolds with gentle inevitability. You have been rising without realizing it. Every time you listened to your intuition, every time you honored your boundaries, every time you breathed through overwhelm instead of collapsing into it, you stepped deeper into the identity that had been forming beneath your pain. You are no longer the version of yourself who questioned your worth at every turn. You are the version who senses truth more quickly, who recognizes alignment with greater ease, who understands that protection is not always loud but is always actual. This rising is not imagined. It is the fruit of everything you have survived, chosen, and surrendered. This is your season of stepping out of delay and into release. Release of old narratives. Release of outdated fears. Release of relationships, beliefs, or expectations that no longer honor the person you are becoming. You do not have to drag anything with you that was meant only for the chapter behind you. The beauty of this moment is that release does not require force, it only requires willingness. And you, beloved, are more willing than you realize. You are learning that letting go is not loss, it is liberation. In this new season, purpose meets protection. Identity meets alignment. Faith meets movement. You are not entering it empty-handed. You are entering it with clarity, with courage, with a steadiness that will carry you further than striving ever could. You are learning to walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are guided, someone who knows that the unseen has always been working for their good, someone who knows that peace is not a luxury but a birthright. This is the posture of release. This is the foundation of restoration. Before you step forward, take a moment to seal this revelation with a small act of participation. In your own time, comment, "I choose clarity," or share one thing you are ready to release. Not for validation, not for attention, but as an affirmation to yourself that you are walking into this next chapter with intention and courage. It is your way of marking the shift from who you were into who you are becoming. And as you speak it or write it, feel the shift. Feel the alignment. Feel the gentle truth rise within you. This is not the end of your story. It is the doorway into a new beginning, one shaped by clarity, strengthened by protection, and illuminated by purpose. Your next chapter awaits, and you are ready to walk into it with your whole, awakened self. You are held now.